Hi everyone, I'm GREYMOND. Today I wanted to talk to you about the fourth and final stage of OCD recovery. If you're new to this channel or you haven't listened to the previous 3 stages of OCD recovery, you need to listen to those before you listen to this one because you need to have a full overview of what I'm talking about in order to understand the recovery process from start to finish. I will have the links down below so you can click on those and listen to those first and then come back to this video. Basically, at this point, the OCD is pretty much gone. You might have 2 out of 10 anxiety, 1 out of 10, it's pretty much non-existent. You might not be having any thoughts, right? Or you're just entering the situation when you're not having any thoughts. And here you need to make sure that you are maintaining your progress, because if you think about all the times that you've had OCD, your brain has now been forced to live in fight or flight for long periods of time. So when you are all of a sudden saying to your brain that this is no longer valid, this is no longer important, I'm not reacting, the thoughts are going down, your brain it's still really used to living in fight or flight. So it's going to try to come up maybe with another thought. It might send you something else. If any real life stress comes up, so say for example, you've recovered, you don't have any more thoughts, but then something bad happened. We all have things that we go through in life. At this point, it's very critical that you're watching where your thoughts are so you don't start to slip back down. And depending on how long have you been recovered and the severity of the situation, the depth of the magnitude of what happened, like in real life, I mean, it can impact you more or less, because people with OCD, people that develop OCD generally tend to be very sensitive people from the beginning, from birth. And then as they go through life, some of these people develop OCD. So, but everybody who I've ever talked to has been a sensitive person from the beginning. So it seems to be a prerequisite basically. And after you recover, you are still a sensitive person. You don't have OCD anymore, but you're still that person you were before you developed OCD. So you have to make sure that you are gradually increasing the level of stress. At the same time, if something bad already happened, that you are very focused on your emotional state and balancing it out with healing techniques, with meditation, mindfulness, not overworking yourself when you feel bad. It's good to be busy so you're not focusing more on things and really kind of obsessing and getting into that, but at the same time not overdoing it, not overstressing. The self-care really has to come through. The other thing as well is when you are just freshly recovered, take it to be that yes, you feel recovered, but it's going to be probably about 6 months for your brain to fully recover. Even though you feel fine, the brain is still not really recovered. So I would say 6 months from this point, it takes 6 months to get to this point, and then another 6 months of this maintenance stage, where you really have to be careful of how you react to things, what you expose yourself to, how much work you take on, that you're slowly kind of getting back into the normal rhythm of things. Not overdoing, not underdoing it, but also not overdoing it. And being mindful that themes can change. So just because, say, you had religious OCD doesn't mean it can't turn into a cleaning OCD, So because the brain is still kind of unconvinced that you are not in any danger. So it's convinced that whatever you're worried about in the beginning is no longer valid, but maybe there's something else that can get to you. Maybe there's some other danger. Let's see. And every once in a while, for this first 6 months especially, you're gonna get a thought. And I think what they've done studies on, that people with OCD and people without OCD pretty much get the same thoughts. So people who never experienced OCD, who are never going to experience OCD, they also get weird thoughts from time to time that just randomly come in, But as a person who does get overwhelmed and does get worked up about thoughts, and really, has this history, you really have to make sure that you don't get into it, This actually is not going to be an issue for your entire life. It's the longer time after the longer period of time kind of goes by after the recovery, the less of this is going to happen. So the less you're even going to notice these thoughts. So, and they're going to be very few and far between until they just really come down to a whisper and then go away, and then you don't, So, but again, it's like, it's normal to have weird thoughts. We have many, like thousands of thoughts a day. So it's, it's normal to have different thoughts, but again, the reaction is not normal. With OCD, there's a very specific reaction that a person who would not develop OCD, they would get the same thought, but their reaction was totally different. That's what they were noticing in the studies that they've done. I think one of the major universities have done studies on this. If you Google it, I'm sure you'll find it. The other thing I would suggest is, as a method of reducing the sensitivity, reducing how much things affect you, to do ERP on regular life stuff. So yes, you're not thinking, what if you were driving and maybe you ran someone over? That's clearly, an OCD thought. But what if you are increasingly worried about regular life things, such as like, money or health of the children, not like in an obsessive way, but in a way of just, just get a little bit overly concerned when they get a cold or something like that. Address that as well and do ERP on that as if this was OCD. Because if you do that, you will be bulletproof. Literally, you will be just, no, not bothered. We all know people like that in our lives, right? That they're just like, okay, whatever, I don't care. Something else happens, I don't care, And I don't know if you quite want to go down the path that far, but being a little less affected, a little less sensitive is always a good thing, because it's a self-preservation kind of situation, because it allows you to focus more. It doesn't push you off balance when situations happen. Yes, situations happen, you have to deal with it. But if the emotions are pushing you off balance and you were like this since birth, that is something I feel anyways, that it would be good to address, just to make your life easier. And, after I recovered from OCD, I continued to do that. And I can tell you that as sensitive as I was before I developed OCD, I'm a lot less sensitive now, and it makes it a lot less easier to live this way, So, and I do recommend it, as well as, all the other stuff, like such as meditations and, relaxation, self-care practices, all of it has its place, And, but I would say that one of the most important things, if you can take anything out of this video, the most important thing is, well, two, okay? The stress levels, don't overwhelm yourself, and watch for the theme switching. In case some thought comes in and it triggers you, and, everybody can get triggered for a day or something like that, But if you feel like this is starting to be OCD, this has been, a few days, I'm starting to feel like I'm drowning, this is not good, really treat it like OCD. Don't wait to figure out if it's OCD or not. At this point, it's becoming OCD. So just treat it like OCD. Even if it hasn't quite got there, if you feel like you're getting very anxious, you feel urgency to solve it, you can't live life normally, it's OCD, I'm not reacting, I'm not responding. Just like I was saying for real life stuff, if something is distressing you to an extreme level, right? And nobody else would have these similar thoughts, not allowing, or not would, maybe they would have the same situation, but they wouldn't react with this to this extent to this situation. It's important to react the way they react, and over time your brain will become less sensitive to regular life stuff. The more you mimic other people, how they do things, how you want to react, your brain this will become the new normal. That's how it will react to those situations, similar situations, So I highly recommend those things. I hope you find these videos helpful. If you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe. If you would like to do the recovery program, all the information is on youhaveocd.com. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video.